On time. Awesome. A few are still coming late, but we start anyways because we wanted to start at 1 actually already. So, but we're used to university time, so there should be no problem. As mentioned in the announcement, you're all on live stream right now, so I hope you're okay with this. So be careful of what you're saying. It's out in the world. B, we have two parts of the event today. Part number one, as mentioned also in the announcement, will be we have two presentations. First one by BitCup, then by Ogilvy. And after that, quick break, then we change the setting a little bit, and then we'll have the anticipated town hall that you're all looking forward to, where you can ask questions. So please don't hold back with the questions. We have microphones in the audience, so you can ask questions in person or then via interactive wall here. So we will be looking forward to this. But now, if you find what you see here engaging, interesting, please do share on social media, #JM466 or BJM Thammasat. And I think without further ado, we should just start with Kun Top of BitCup with the first presentation of the day. So please have a nice warm welcome for our first presenter of the day, which is BitCup.
Thank you. Sawadee. Hello everyone. Sawadee. My name is Top. Pleasure to meet you all here today. Today I have about 20 minutes to share with you what we think about digital transformation. Do you have a clicker? Oh. So just a bit about myself. Personally, I've been in the blockchain and cryptocurrency industry for 7 or 8 years now. How many of you here have heard of Bitcoin? Yes? Okay. How many of you have bought Bitcoin? Congratulations. Now the price is almost $20,000, right, per one Bitcoin. I was one of the very first person to push through this technology to legalize Bitcoin in Thailand. I've been through a lot. Right now, I'm the founder of BitCup, the largest cryptocurrency exchange, a legally exchange in Thailand. And this is actually an internal presentation that I shared with my employees. BitCup all hands. We usually meet every twice per year. So this is not displayed anywhere else, but here today. Usually it takes me 2 hours to go through the slides, but today I have 20 minutes. So I'll go through them very quickly. I'm super glad, by the way, if before I founded the two companies, if there's someone else who could lecture me about these things that I did not know in the past. The first company I already exited to Gojek, a successful acquisition, but most of the people from the industry said that was a successful journey. Big acquisition, a big win for investors, big win for the working team. But personally, from the entrepreneurial journey, I saw that as a failure because, what happens after that acquisition, after that Gojek acquisition, the company, went pretty much tanked afterwards, because after all the key management left, right, the time tellers, right, no one knows what to do afterwards. So now I am on a new challenge on how to build a long-lasting company, which requires a totally different mindset. So I'd like to share with you there are two types of CEOs, right? The wartime CEO and the peacetime CEO. In my first company, I was a wartime CEO. Right? I founded the company from my parents' clothing shop in Patunam, right? Chanloi, right? Spare room. I did a lot of funding. Had to do everything to make sure that the company survived, right? So I pretty much let the war define the culture. I was the time teller, squeeze all the efficiency I could from everyone around, from the team. Right. but it wasn't a very long-lasting technique. Right after the acquisition, the company went, tanked. So right now, I'm trying to be a different kind of CEO, trying to be a peacetime CEO. Do you guys know the difference between a wartime and a peacetime CEO? A peacetime CEO focuses more on thinking long term, right? How to build a long-lasting company, how to turn a normal company, a good company, into a great company. So the second type of CEO focuses on culture, purpose, core values of the company. He or she does not let the war defines the culture, right? He or she is building the clock, not telling the time. There's a key difference, right? I'm sure most of you here have never ever started a company before, and I'm sure these things you guys agree are true, right? But in reality, these are the myths, right? Not really the true. If you look at the first statement, great idea is needed when you start a company. Do you agree? Most people agree, right? You need a great idea before you can start a company. But this is a myth. I'll tell you why later. Right? This second statement, visionary company needs charismatic leaders. Do you guys agree? Right? Most people would agree, but this is also a myth. Right? Visionary company focuses on profit, maximizing profits. That's the only goal of the visionary company. That is also a myth. Right? Visionary companies focus on beating competitors. Or always look out for competition, look what they do, and then follow competition. Right? That's a myth also. That's not true. And bringing outside CEO to spark the interest, that is also not great. These 5 points are characteristics of normal companies, but not great companies, right? 99% of the people would think in the same manner. And these are normal people. But we need to be great people. We need to think different, right? We need to act different to be different. So these are not the characteristic of great companies. Not these 5 points, right? Not these 5 statements. These are not true. There's one book that made an impression on me. I would encourage you guys to read up on this book. This book is called Built to Last by Jim Collins. It summarizes into one statement. If you are the CEO, if you're the founder of a company, you should not be telling the time. You should be building the clock to tell the time, to build a long-lasting company, right? The only product of the founder is the company itself, right? The organizational design. That's how you design the actual product. The company is the product, not the front-end customer-facing products. Those are the products of your team, not the founder, right? The CEO, the founder's product, the only product is to design the company, right? To design the clock, to make sure that it can tell the time in a healthy manner, right? And how do we transform, a good company to a great company? This is a classic principle that we can apply to in different generation, regardless of this digital disruption era. Right? First, we need to go back to think about what makes something great. Have you guys ever thought about this? What makes something great? In any industry, 99% are good. Only 1% are the greats, right? If you look at I don't know if you guys watch football, but I love football. If you look at in the last 10 years, there are only 2 great footballers, right? Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi. These 2 guys got all the prizes, awards. The rest of the footballers are good footballers. Only these 2 are the great footballers. What differentiates them between the rest of the footballers? If you look at the pianist, 99% are good pianists, Only 1% is the great pianist, right? Mozart, right? The one that made history. Same with companies. 99% are good companies. Only 1% is the great company, right? The long-lasting ones, like Apple, for example. Where is Steve Jobs right now? Apple is still able to achieve the $2 trillion valuation without Steve Jobs, right? Disney, the founder, where is he now? Disney can still prosper, right? IBM, where's the founder? These are the long-lasting companies, the great companies, right? Only the top 1%. But what makes them great? If you talk about footballers, if you talk about the pianists, or if you talk about the companies, they share a few characteristics, right? If you talk about footballers, Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi, right? Do they go swimming? Do they go play badminton? They focus on football, right? They focus. That's the number one characteristic. They focus. They don't diversify. They focus. So it makes them great. They cannot be great footballers if they've been doing everything, right? Swimming, badminton, football, right? And the second characteristic, right, is that Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi, they're passionate with in what they do. Both of these guys have the talents, but they also work their ass off. Cristiano Ronaldo is the first person to hit the training field, the last person to leave the training pitch. Right? They train much harder because they're passionate in what they do. Have you ever been, passionate about something? Right? If you're really passionate about something, the word enough is never there. How can you do it better? Get better every day. How do you beat yesterday's performance? If you're really passionate about something, if there's a word enough in your statement, then you're not really passionate in that thing that you're doing. Right? You need to be really passionate. If you look at Cristiano Ronaldo or Messi, both of these guys are like 30 plus years old. For the footballer, that's like they would be retired already. They have all the monies in the world, all the award, prizes in the world. Why are they still playing? Because they're passionate, right? They want to make history. They want to be the best footballer in history. And they focus on one thing and do it really well. And the third factor that all of them share, they have this thing called purpose beyond profit, right? LA Galaxy or American League cannot just throw money at them to buy great players. They can buy good players, but they cannot buy great players, right? Because they have purpose beyond profit. Same with pianists, right? They don't go and play guitar or drums. They only focus on piano, right? And they're passionate in what they do. Mozart, right? He, practices, much harder than the rest of the musician. And they have this purpose beyond profit factor. When you talk about companies, what makes great companies? Do you diversify or do you focus? If you are diversifying, then you're not really a great company. You're just a good footballer, good company, good musician, right? Are you passionate in what you do? If people in your company said, this is enough, there's a word enough in the equation, then your company is not really, your people are not really passionate in what they do. There's a word enough. How do you get better every day? Do you have this ownership and beyond quality? The word beyond, right? I just met one guy, the founder of Flash Express. Do you guys know Flash Express, Curry Express? He is going to be, the first unicorn of Thailand, Flash Express. The founder is 29 years old. He's Thai, actually, from Lampang. Right? PTT just invested in his company, right, at a 20 billion baht valuation, and by January next year, he'll make the first unicorn ever in the Thai history. And I was listening to his talk. He said he doesn't call his employees. He calls employees warriors. warriors. And they have this policy, 996 policies. Do you guys know what 996 is? 997 for the founder, but the rest 996 policies. You start your work from 9 a.m. and you finish your work at 9 p.m. 6 days per week, 996. Everyone. But for the founder, 997, so 7 days per week. That makes a great company, right? They have this ownership and beyond quality. Like Cristiano Ronaldo, he practices much harder than the rest of the footballer. That makes him great. Not his talent, but also working his ass off. Same with the Flash Express. Now they're number 2, just under Curry Express, right? So they all share the same characteristics. And they have this purpose beyond profits, right? This is an example of Big Cup, do not copy, right? I was trying to share with my employees what our core values are. So to focus on purpose beyond profit, we need to come back to the original principles of the founder. Right? When you start a company, you don't really start with an idea. You start with the purpose, right? Because ideas are cheap. And if you start with the ideas, then you hire based on the ideas. And if it doesn't work, then you let those people go because they were failed by the strategy. They were hired to fulfill the strategy, the idea. But if you start a company with a purpose, or if you start your company with values, same set of values, then you hire people based on these values, based on the purpose. Then you can literate many ideas to meet the purpose of the company. Right? And if you study all the visionary companies, they don't start with what idea, they start with who. Start with people first, who share the same set of values, same set of purpose. Then you try to iterate many ideas until you find something that works, right? So, to start a company, have you ever asked yourself, what are your values? Do not copy others, right? These doesn't have to be, right or wrong. It must be authentic. For example, a secret company, the founder, really believes that life is worth living if you smoke. That is his authentic beliefs. It makes his life happier. Without smoking, his life would be miserable. It doesn't have to be right, it doesn't have to be wrong. It have to be authentic. It has to be true to the founders. Then you hire people based on those values, who share the same beliefs and the purpose. Then you literate many ideas to fulfill those purpose, right? For Big Cup, what is our purpose? Do not copy, right? I show these slides to my employees. What do these guys have in general? You guys know Albert Einstein and Martin Luther King, right? These are the crazy ones, the one that people laughed at, the one that people despised, ignore. But eventually, these guys ended up changing the industry forever, right? The minorities, the widows. So the core values, what we really believe in at Big Cup, again, do not copy, right? Is that people with deep passion, that we take action every day. We can influence everything around us. We can change the world eventually, right? We believe that everything around us were created by, the previous generation that are not really smarter than us. Right? Thailand must be moving forward, meaning that the new generation must be smarter than the previous generation. We can influence everything around us, right? Do not take things for granted. And if we take action every day, we can really change the environment, the surroundings. This is what we really believe in. And then we hire people based on these values, which is hard to change, right? Do not hire people based on hard skill. Hire people based on purpose and values, right? And these are like examples of that I showed to my employees. I don't know if you guys have been following my story. You can watch perspective episodes, right? Before, when I started the company, it was hell the first like 4 years because no one understood what Bitcoin was, right? After the first 8 months into operation, the Bank of Thailand issued a letter saying that Bitcoin could be a Ponzi scheme. The value could go to zero anytime. And this was an official letter to every commercial banks in Thailand, right? And I was 23 years old, started the first company. Who would my parents believe? Who would my dad believe? A recently graduated son or the Bank of Thailand, right? So we had a lot of arguments. 4 years fast forward, this is me and the Bank of Thailand employees. I was invited to teach them about digital currency and blockchain. We can influence everything around us, right? And if you look at the picture above, that's me again, designing digital baht, right? Digital baht, digital currency created by the Bank of Thailand. You're not hearing this wrong, right? Digital baht. 4 years fast forward. Again, if you have been listening to my story after the Bank of Thailand crisis, I got another letter from the anti-money laundering officers for investigation, money laundering. Right? My dad went crazy after that letter. He said, "Top, I send you all the way to Oxford University. You can walk into any jobs, get a good job. Right? Anyone would gladly welcome you. Why are you laundering money with your company?" 4 years fast forward, this is me and the secretary of the anti-money laundering officers teaching the employees, anti-money laundering officers about cryptocurrency and blockchain. 4 years fast forward. Again, I don't know if you have been listening to my story. The revenue department came to our office, sit with us for 3 months. Are you avoiding taxes? How do you pay taxes with this Bitcoin thing? No one understood what you were doing. Super stressful, right? 4 years fast forward. This is me again, ex-Minister of Finance, right? The picture below, the revenue department, teaching them about digital currencies. Then I entered this competition, the SEC FinTech Challenge competition. I created the first stock exchange, right, 2.0 for Thailand. I entered the competition, and the judges, right, of the competition, the SEC, the SET, the traditional stock exchange, right, and there were quite a few judges. After the first round, second round, third round, semi-final, final round, I became the winner of this FinTech challenge. I just realized after the competition that the SET, the traditional stock exchange, gave me 0 every round. Still ended up winning the competition. 4 years fast forward, the stock exchange of Thailand is creating big cup competition, an exchange to compete with us. The traditional stock exchange of Thailand is creating a digital asset exchange. But we already control 95% market share, the largest company. So I was trying to tell my employees that, if we are really passionate about something and we take action every day, we can actually influence our surrounding, right? We can really influence. Do not take things for granted that, everything created around us were created by people who are not really smarter than us. We can move the world forward. This is our authentic values, so we hire people based on those values, right? And do not copy other companies, sir. Do not copy other companies because there's no right or wrong, and there's no perfect fit. If you force Mark Zuckerberg to run a metal company, then that's not going to be a great company because he has this different set of beliefs, right? If you force Steve Jobs to run an ice cream shop, then it's not going to be a good ice cream shop because he makes people unhappy all the time, right? but he creates great things. So it has to be, suitable for the type of the companies you're running too. Do not copy each other. Right. And to create a great company, you must have this authentic beliefs that you can always improve things, and enough is not a word in your equation. How do you get better every day? How do you improve things, right? Enough is not, it should not be in your statement or your equation. So people that you bring into your company, are they here for comfort, or are they here to do great things? If most of the people in your company are here for comfort, then you're just going to be an average company, right? But if most of the people in your company are here, if all the people are here to make great things, they're not here for comfort, then you're going to be a great company for sure. Do you know why? Because a company is what? A company is when a group of people come together and work on a mission. And if these group of people are not great people, are you going to have a great company? If this is an average group of people, then you're just going to have an average company. If you have a good group of people, then you would reach the maximum of a good company status. A company can only get as good as these group of people can get improved. So start with who, do not start with what, right? And in order to start with who, you need to really believe in something. What are your values? What is your purpose? I'm sure many of you have heard of the mission and vision statements of different companies, but they're just for most of the 99%, they only treat mission vision statement as a marketing slogan, not really take things seriously. But not for the 1%. We need to do things differently to be a great company, right? Do not do the same thing as the rest of the people, 99%. So, visionary companies takes mission and vision statement very seriously. Do you guys know the difference between a mission statement and a vision statement? People get mixed up all the time. Do you know which can be changed, which should never be changed? Purpose should not be changed. Your mission statement should never be changed. Right? For example, Disney, the founder, you guys know Walt Disney, right? The purpose of Walt Disney is to provide happiness to millions. This has never been changed for any generation, right? Even if you're the billionaire, the trillionaire, if you have all the money in the world, the purpose of the company is not to make money, but to provide happiness to millions. Never changed. But the vision can be changed from generation to generation. Say for the first generation of CEOs of Walt Disney, he could say, we're going to create the largest playground in the world. Something that is so big that he can inspire people, inspire the rest of the company. Something that is bigger than oneself, but if we all work together, we can accomplish this. Right? This is what we call a vision. But a playground can provide happiness, right? It must be linked to the original purpose or the mission statement. After the first generation, then the second generation of the CEO could say, we're going to make the first Toy Story movie, 3D, something that is the newest, the biggest, something that inspires people. But movies also provide happiness, right? So you really need to, before you start a company, you need to really, dig deep into what is your purpose of starting the company. Purpose beyond profit, right? And if you say the purpose of the company is to make as much money as possible, then it's a pretty empty company. Imagine if you said, I'm going to create a company and the purpose of this company is to make as much money as possible. Imagine if the company is your child, right, your kid, and the parent said, if you got accepted into a university, I will buy you a car. If you get a first class honors in your study, I will buy you a purse. That child is pretty spoiled, pretty empty, right? The children, the kids, they don't really know why they do it, just because of the car or the purse. Pretty empty life. But really, the good parents, the great parents, they don't buy kids, cars, or they don't motivate children. They inspire children, right? The purpose of the child, the children, they must have their own life purpose. Same with companies, right? You need to give companies purpose, and profit is just like oxygen to stay alive, but not the end, means to the end, right? These are just Big Cup's unique things, so do not copy, right? And in order to build great companies, regardless of digital disruption, different rules, different environment, these are the classics you can apply in any generation when you build a great company. The three types or three phases in building a great company. In building a clock, not telling the time. 99% of the CEOs are telling the time tellers. We're talking about the clock builders here, the 1%. And there are steps to it. First step, discipline people. Right? Do not confuse discipline with control or punishment. Right? It's just persistency to practice the philosophy. Right? In this case, discipline people. First, you start with the leaders. There are 5 levels of leadership in the company. The first level is a good contributing team member. The number 3 is a good manager who can manage project. Number 4 leaders is the one who can articulate the future vision, the future what it's going to look like, and make sure that everyone conform, buy into this vision, right? Inspire everyone. But really, you need a level 5 leadership. What is a level 5 leader? Level 5 leader is the one who puts the companies first before himself or herself. Very hard to find. But there's one always in a company. You need to find him or her. Right? Not the one that inspires people, the one that they're on media all the time. Not these guys. The level 5 leader are usually very shy, and they would do everything for the survival of the company, even put the companies first before himself or herself. One of the great examples, there's one family who decided to keep one of the family members out of the board for the survival of the company. Would you be willing to do that? Right? You need to find that level 5 leadership. Right? And he or she would think beyond himself. What if, I am no longer in this company? How is this company going to prosper without myself? Right? They're not here to maximize self-profit. They're putting the companies first. Imagine if the CEO is coming to work every day and maximizing his or her profit. What is the risk of the company going to look like if he or she is not putting the companies first as a CEO? Right? He or she would signal the whole different thing to the rest of the company. It's not going to be a great company. Right? The company would tank eventually. Right? Once you found the level 5 leader who puts the company first, ego aside, then you start bringing in people. Start with people, not start with what. Do not start with ideas. Start with who share the same set of values and purpose. There's this word here. Hire slow, fire fast. When you're building a clock, the main job of the founder is to select who you bring in to the company and who you let go. And you let go very quick. And you bring in very slow. Right? Imagine if you bring in the wrong people and you tolerate. Say if you bring in the B player into your company, and if B player grows into your company, and then he or she is sitting on the hiring board now, committee, would the B player hire A player? Would B player hire A player? B player would never hire A player because someone else might take over her or his seat, right? B player would hire C player, someone who looked worse. than himself or herself. Then C player would hire D player. D player would hire E player. The company would tank eventually. But if you start with level 5 leader who puts the companies first, then he would hire or she would hire someone who is bigger than himself or herself. A player would hire A plus player. A plus would hire A plus plus. Eventually, it's going to be a very, very big company, because a company is a weighted average of how good these group of people are. Companies are people. So people are not the greatest asset. The right people are the greatest asset, right? So the main job of the founder, very easily, right? Very easily, letting people go off the bus very quickly. When you bring someone into the bus, very slow. You must have a very high hiring bar, and do not underestimate hiring. If you're interviewing this one candidate and there's this small question in your head, that you have this small doubt in your head whether you should accept this candidate, the answer is easy: no. Right? You must have very high hiring bar. But if someone is not a hell yes, you let go very quickly. In Big Cup, there are two group of people. We call it the Big Cupper, the one that conforms, the A players, and the virus. Right? Virus that can spread into the company very quickly, so you need to let go of the virus. Imagine a company is blood, and if you made the hiring mistakes, you're adding water into the blood. It's fully diluted, right? Can you get back to this previous status? It's very hard to get back to the previous status if you add water to the blood already. So you must make sure that you let go very quickly. And once the whole bus is full of people, who's going to sit in front of the bus? Who's going to sit behind the bus? The answer is easy. Put the best people in front of the bus. Put the rest at the back of the bus. What does it mean? Put your best people on the biggest opportunity. Do not put your best people on solving issues, solving problems. Every companies have problems, but do not put your best people in solving issues. Put your best people in finding the next biggest opportunities. The rest solving issues. Right? This is how you build a clock. And you should not be telling them what to do because you're building the clock. They should be telling you what to do because you're hiring people who are bigger than you are. Why are you telling them what to do? They need to tell you what to do. Right? You're hiring great people. Questions in my company, very easy. Usually, for a normal company, you would assess the candidate. You would score himself or herself during the interview. But in my company, you score the assessor. The other way around. The two phases. The probation phase. After 3 months, we all get into a very heated debate whether we would continue the contract or let this person go. And there are a few criteria. I would ask questions like, if I were to let this person go today, would you hire this person back again? If the answer is no, then we let go. Right? The second question I would ask, is this person that you're about to let go makes Monday more welcoming or makes your Monday something you're not looking forward to? Right? If the answer is the latter, then you let go. Third question, is this person better than you at something? If the answer is no, I'm better than everything than this person, then you let go. You're not hiring an A player. Right? And during the interview, not the probation, during the interview, I asked the assessor, after you left the interviewing room, are you more inspired or demotivated after that interview? If the answer is, if you're not inspired after that interview, then you're not going to accept this candidate. Would this candidate take things off your plate or add more things on your plate? These questions. So you make sure that you assess the assessor and not the candidate. Right? That's how you bring in great people. And usually great companies do not let people go during hard times. But after the virus is out, out of the company, They're making sure that everyone working at the companies share the same set of values and purpose and all contributing, good contributing, team member and have this ownership and beyond quality. Then they never let people go. These are the characteristics of great companies, visionary companies, not the rest of the people. Actually, I need to borrow the quotes from David Ogilvy, right? Very good quote, right? He said, if each of us, hire people who are smaller than we are, then we'll eventually become a company of dwarfs, because B player would hire C player, D player E, down the hill, right? But if each of us hire people who are bigger than we are, we will eventually become a company of giants, right? Very good quote. A company is when a group of people come together and work on a mission. If you want a great company, you need a great group of people, right? I'm sure we've gone over time, right? Please tell me when to stop, but I have a lot of content to share. So the second phase is what we call the disciplined thought, right? After we have this level 5 leadership who would put the companies before himself or herself, ego aside, then he would be able to hire, people who are bigger than himself or herself. The best group of people coming to work together. Ideas can come later, right? First, you start with who, not what. Then these people will tell you the next strategy, the next ideas, because they're a group of people that share the same set of values, and they're great A players. Then after you have formed a team, the next step is to create an environment, disciplined thoughts, right? There's this thing called the hedgehog concept. Do you guys know that the king of the jungle is not tiger, lion, fox? No. The king of the jungle is the hedgehog. You guys know what a hedgehog is? Men, right? So, a fox, lion, tiger, they can change their strategy, different dimension, angle every day, trying to eat the hedgehog. But once, the fox, attack the hedgehog, he only has one action, right? Spike up. One certain action that wins all the time. So hedgehog is really the king of the jungle. So coming back to the company's concept. What is your hedgehog strategy? Right now, during the digital disruption phase, people are panicking and copying all the competitors' strategies, action, without realizing it, coming back and, to the original founder's principle or purpose on, what is the reason why your company existed in the first place, right? What are you good at? After you bring in these group of people, what are these people, are best at, right? Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, he knows that his hedgehog is football. He would never go and swim and play badminton because he knows what his hedgehog is. Then he doesn't diversify. He only focuses on one thing, football. It makes him a great player. Same with companies. If you're diversifying without realizing what your hedgehog is, then you're just an average company. You need to first start with what are you good at? What is the reason why your company existed in this world? What are these, when you bring in these group of people, what are they, be the best at? This is what we call the hedgehog concept. You need to then focus on that concept. Do not diversify. We have very limited time. If your company is doing thousands of things, then you're going to be an average of at thousands of things, right? But not the characteristic of great companies. They focus on the hedgehog. Then also, this is the three interception, the circles, right? You need to know that what are you passionate in too, right? What is your company passionate about? If you look at the interviews of Steve Jobs or listen to the interviews of Steve Jobs or the successful people, right? Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, they all said a few things. Said what makes them great or successful. Bill Gates, Warren Buffett said focus. Even though they're in a totally different industry, right? They only focus. And if you study finance, the university would teach you to diversify, right, the risk. But if you look at Warren Buffett, the greatest investor, how many stocks does he hold? A lot or very few? He focused, right? And also Steve Jobs said, if you're gonna, face this pain every day, make sure that you're really passionate about something. Otherwise, any sane people would give up, right? So make sure that you find something you're really passionate about, right? Then after you bring in a great group of people, you need to create an environment where everyone can get into a very heated debate, challenge for the best ideas, consensus, right? This is what Thai companies are lacking, right? We need to create an environment where everyone is not afraid or shy of giving out ideas. This is the job of the level 5 leaders. Do not lead with answers, lead with questions, right? The job of the CEO is not to lead with answers, to lead with questions. Because ideas can come from anywhere, not the highest paid person in the company. And there must be this commit part, challenge and commit. Meaning that once we reach a consensus as a company, then we will go all in as a company. We're in the same boat, let's do it, right? There must be this teamwork into the company. Right. I think we're running out of time, but I would encourage you to read 2 books that totally changed my management style from the first company to the second company. The first book is called Built to Last, Jim Collins. Second book is called Good to Great, Jim Collins. How to build a clock not telling the time, like the rest of the company. How to turn a good company into a great company. Usually it takes me 2 hours to go through these slides, but today I only have 20 minutes, so I will discuss more during the panel discussion if you guys have any questions. Thank you.
Let's see if this mic works here. Let's use one or 2 minutes for question and answers if you want. If you have some questions from this inspirational talk, I'm inspired. I hope you are too. So if you have any questions while we're setting up the next computer, please do ask those questions. We have some mics in the audience, so thank you very much.
Can the staff help at the back? That's a very good question. Creating a company is hard, very hard. But these things are not covered in media. Imagine if one day the anti-money laundering officer sent you a letter for the investigation, or the Bank of Thailand called you in, or the revenue department, right, came to your office. You would be burned out for sure, and normal people would, any rational people would give up. Especially when you have graduate from a very top university, you have other options to do. Why do you face these things? You must start the company with something you're really passionate in, because it's going to be very hard. It's going to be a hard journey. And once you're passionate about something, you will not give up easily. You have this internal drive to punch through different crises. And usually people give up, too early, because they're not really passionate in what they do. Their goal is to make a lot of money. That's all. They create a company. The purpose of the company is to make a lot of money. And when they face crises, they would give up because they have no purpose. They're not really passionate about what they do. They just want to make money, but not Cristiano Ronaldo. not Messi, not Mozart, right? These are great people. They have this thing called purpose beyond profit, and they are passionate in what they do. Even if even if you pay Cristiano Ronaldo or Messi 0 baht, no money, they would still be playing football because they're really passionate. And I'm sure they face a lot of crises too in their own story, which are not covered in media, but they persevere. So the same traits of great entrepreneurs. It comes down to one thing: perseverance, the ability to handle pain. You have to have a very high pain threshold. Creating a company is hard, right? So you must find something that you are truly passionate in. And another characteristic, actually, that I forgot to share with you here today is that most companies motivate employees, not great companies. 99% of the companies motivate employees because they have no purpose, they have no vision, they have no mission. They just want to make a lot of money. So they motivate people with what? With money, right? OT, bonuses, or another way around. If you don't do this, I will fire you, right? That's the biggest motivation, getting fired. But not great companies. Great companies, you start the company with purpose, with values. Then they inspire people. They don't motivate. Great companies do not motivate people. Great companies inspire people based on values and purpose. The vision, right? Big, hairy, audacious goal. Something that is too big for one person to achieve. But once we come and work together, we can achieve this. We can make history. We call it BHAGs, big, hairy, audacious goal. Usually, 99% think in the same manner. Only the 1% is the unique group of great players. Whether it comes down to football, musician, companies. So I encourage you to. That's a really great question. How do you persevere? You must find something that you are really passionate in. Like imagine if you're like a trillionaire, billionaire, all the money in the world. Why are you doing this today? Right? Beyond money, purpose beyond money. Then you would persevere. Like Cristiano Ronaldo, he has all the money in the world. Why would he play football? He's really passionate about it. Right.
Thank you very much. Perfect answer, I think. Thank you very much. Panel discussion when we can go into more detail in the Q&As. Okay, thank you very much. We're moving on to our second speaker. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Today we want to take 20 minutes to talk about the era of digital marketing. We're actually from the agency called Ogilvy, which we have been in Thai market for a very long time, right? We're actually the agency that covers a full range of communications, but actually today what we taking you guys through is the new era. And in the past 3, 4, 5 years, it's a big change among the advertisers and new challenge for marketers as well, right? There are a lot of changes, so that's why today we want to tell you about the change on the landscapes and how the communications evolve and what is the tools that Ogilvy are pushing our communication forward in the modern era of digitals. There are things that we're transforming our agency. We used to be the agency that work on the traditional communications, but today, as the world evolving, we believe in 3 things: data, creative, and technologies. And this is the core on how we understand and we create the communication that really appeal to the consumer, right? We're more data-driven, meaning that we're going to be more consumer-centric, and it's not about just making awareness, but we can also trigger the actions. And also, the creative will be more relevant, and definitely we use the power of technology to unlock the potential of the communication we do. Why, right? Back then, the media is scarce, right? We used to have 1 television, 5 people watching, right? Attention is abundant. But today, everybody having their own screen, right? Media is abundant while the attention of consumer are very, very scarce. So that's why we really need to change the way we think of how we reach and make the communication right for them. Definitely, because the world is more complex, right? There are a lot of things that have been changing very fast in the past year. We have more data. Every company is now really acquiring the data. We're trying to own the first party data, or even we have partnered with a lot of data companies that we can utilize their audience. The more emerging platform. We used to have Facebook, YouTube, but the past year, TikTok is arising. Yeah, we have more devices now. We're not working on the TV commercial that is on the rectangle side, but we change into the square side, or even the vertical to suit with the change on devices that consumer use. We have more stakeholder, definitely. The brand are more competitive. There are more brand in the market. There are more demand on budget, how we can make the communications or the campaigns that actually more effective for the marketer and also higher in terms of return on investment. And also there are more audience, and every audience is not made equal, right? And also there are more touch points. The new touch point emerging everywhere. There's new meters that you go to the malls and you see the new meter happening every day. And also there are more things to say, more channels, right? These are all challenges that we see that the world is getting more complex, right? The attention are scarce, and definitely that's how we need to change the way we reach to them. Why? Because right now, right, when we're actually the era of the customer, every marketer try to put the consumer at the heart of every communications or actually their business, right? We are in the era that the technology can unlock new possibilities. Data marketing technology allow us to get to the customer and actually more precise than ever. And also, as I say, we are facing the era of the scarcity, more platform, more contents, more brand. Everybody is competing. And definitely this is the new opportunities that we are entering, the era of dynamic creative. We have more marketing automations that we can take these marketings more relevant in the digital worlds. And if you can see, right, we see there's the evolvement of communication in the past until now, right? Back then on the 60s, we used to have the mass communication. We do TV, right? One commercial will hit everybody. And then we're starting to have the segments, with a lot of business starting to have the different segments of their customer, let's say insurance, right? And then we evolve. We know that the meaningful communication will put the consumer at the heart of everything. So we evolve into more customer-centric era. And then we're getting more advanced when we can utilize those individual customer data into creating more communication that directly talk to them, right? For example, we have more advanced in CRM. We have the tailored communication served for different people. But the challenge for this 2020 is we entering the era of relevancy. We believe that right now with the context on the shift of customer, we have more customer, they are diverse in their journey. The communication should be more relevant to them. So that's why today what we want to bring out and want to talk to you is about personalization at scale. Is this the way that we want to make our communication more relevant to different segments of people? And with the use of the customer data and the assistance of technology, this is how we can reach them more precise and more relevant than ever. I think most of you might familiar with some term like precision marketing, digital transformation, or even data-driven marketing, right? This is a new approach of the advertiser, especially in digital, where we can get into the data, and the technology allow us to do a lot of really precise targetings. So there is a mix of two things that can create and leads to a relevant personalization. There are precisions. When we talk about precision, it is how we target, how we do the targetings to reach those people, no matter it's the context, it's the channels, or the times. and with the combination of personalizations. When we talk about personalization, it's about tailoring the message, the tonalities, the visual, or even the proposition, or even the products to each segment of our customer. And that will reflect on how we adapt the communication material accordingly to serve and do targeting to them. Why personalization is become the big words in the, among the marketer at the moment. What we believe is if we can create a communication that very relevant to them, meaning that we can trigger them to take actions, right? So meaning that the more we do the precisions and the more we do the personalized communications, it will increase in efficiency and effectiveness. So at the end, it will reflect on the higher return on investment, right? And reduce the media waste. And I think this is really important in the modern world, especially when the clients come to you and ask you about the digital marketing or strategy. We're not doing just the communication that make impact, but more importantly, what we believe to do is the communication to drive growth to our client business, and effectiveness, and also the return on investment is a key that we take into a very major part of our process to make the communication successful. But before we get there, there is a formula to understand how, and then we can create the communication that match to them. Personalizations, like I tell you, because not customers are equal, right? Everybody have the different need, even toward the same product, right? Everyone is unique, but they come with different needs. So that's why we need to tailor the communication or the product benefit that really matters to them. And more importantly, it's about creating the brand experiences that at the end customer will feel like it's the brand for them and it is the experience for them. There are the equations of making the precision marketing for us. We call it 3P, right? The first one is prioritizations. When you have one business, not customer will be equal, right? You might have the priority towards different customer. For example, there might be a segment of the high value customer that you want to focus on. So this will reflect on how the marketers or advertiser, they come up with the target segment. So prioritization will focus on who is your potential customer, who is the future of your value, and who is the sort of business, right? And secondly, is when you know who, it's very important for you to understand how and what. How and what is what will trigger them, what is the insight, what are the needs of the product, what are the pain points that we need to tackle, and we need to hook them to be able to solve something to them. And the last one is about precisions. When you have the creative material that design differently toward different targets, what is very important is when you bust out the media, you need to do a right precision. For example, if your target is mom, right, you may have to choose the media type that suit on their behavior. For example, what time that mom are active. Maybe they wake up in the middle of the night to have the breastfeed. So maybe that is the right time to reach them. What are contexts of their life? What is the geolocations or even the interest that you can target those people to make your communication, to make sure that your communication will reach to the right people at the right time in the right context. This is what Ogilvy having a tools. When we want to do something that's really relevant, it's very important to understand how we can create the communication that matters to every individual level, right? There are three things that we take into consideration and we do a study to understand our target audience. First is we need to understand them as an individual, right? If I'm a mom, then we need to understand the context of mom, the insight of mom, the pain point of mom, let's say. Secondly, we need to put them into the context. And lastly, we need to understand their journey. on the understanding them as an individual person, we need to understand their profile data. It could be the demographic level, no matter what age they are, the gender, the life stage, the attitude or behavior, or even their needs. So this is how we understand consumer as a person. Secondly, we need to understand their context, right? For example, people inside Bangkok and people in the upcountry, they might think differently on the same thing, right? So we need to understand a context of how they live and how they feel about that particular issue. So when we talk about contextual data, it can come from the location-based, the demographic. It could be the time of the day, right? Like office people, during the day, they're very, very busy, they're very hectic. And maybe over weekend, the context of their life really changed. They want to set back, having this slow life. So this is how we need to understand the different times of context. It could be the situation, or it could be the channels that they use, right? And the last one, very, very important one, is to understand the journey. Right now, when we create communication, it's not one time and it will hit all, right? You need to start thinking on the journey, since people, they don't know about your products until they heard about the product. And then not everybody will just go straight and buy the product at right once they hear your communication, right? There are a lot of process of customer. Maybe they think, maybe they go into the internet and then they're starting to search for the review, and then, or maybe they validate it against with a close friend before they make decisions. Meaning that you need to understand what is the key moments across their journey from aware until they take the actions. Yep, so it can be considering, comparing, deciding until the buying. So this is the three things that you need to understand before you can create the communications that precises for your target audience. When we talk about personalization, I mean, this is really familiar words in the marketing world right now. But actually, if we dive deeper into the personalization, you will see there are multiple levels of the personalization that depend on the level of the data acquisitions that your companies are having. We have what called mass personalization, is one to many. For example, the university, right? You have many faculties. When we do the communication, we can talk differently to the different interests of the different group of students in different faculties. So that is how we do at the level of mass personalizations. So what we need to understand is we need to understand the differences between all of those faculties to create the right segmentation based on the understandings and the profile, or even the interests of the student of that faculties. The second level, we call it micro-personalization. Micro-personalization is one to the group, right? This one is based on the contextual. For example, we might have to understand the different context of our target customer so that we can hijack that context and put the right message to them. So by doing this, we can detect the signals, for example, like search or even the signal from the platform, for example, the status or even their behavior, so that we can understand the context of their life and we can send them the right message for them. And it could also be the moments that matter to them. And the last one, I think this is the future of the marketing, right? As the world evolves, we will have more data, and data will make communication even more relevant. We call it hyper-personalization. It's called one-on-one communications. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Line BCRM. Okay. Line, actually, for the marketer, we have the Line BCRM, meaning that we can actually send the message or the promotion tailored for each of you right from Line. Right? So this is how we understand the individual data of customer, and then we can send the right message right into them. So it will be on the level of individual, but the challenge for the hyper-personalized is a milestone of the business, right? It's not every company that they will have the first party data, meaning that if you want to do hyper-personalized data, you need to really understand the data of your customer. And this is the most difficult part of acquiring the data, and it will take a long time for the company to be ready for the pool of that data. I will show you some examples of how the difference between the micro-personalization and hyper-personalization. So let's start from the micro-personalizations. How we take an understanding of the context of consumer and put the right message to target them. Okay, we have the case video of Germanville. Some technical error. Sorry. Okay, before the videos come up, there's a campaigns of Germanville. They want to do the precision marketings for people who actually search for trips, so that they can serve the relevant message to hijack those people and then make them sign up for their service. The campaign called No Need to Fly. And then they actually do two things. First thing is they find the signal of people based on their search behavior. And secondly, based on that search signal, they partner with Getty Image to create the creative materials combined with the technology, and then they do precision marketing to target everybody who search. Sorry for some technical error. So we're showing you the examples of two levels of personalization today. The first level will be on micro-personalizations, on how we understand the different contexts and we take into our creative work. And the last one will be the evolving of the hyper-personalization and how we do the dynamic creative. The first example that I'm showing you, composed of two things, is the campaigns that we actually do for our Thai Life insurance. It is actually a branding campaigns, but actually at the end of the campaigns, when we launch the product communications, we know that there are 6 different categories of the insurance, meaning that we need to tailor the communication to suit with different segment of our customer. So this is how we actually bring the campaign to life. So I will show you the case film that we done.
The rapid pace of changing the world, technology has become part of the fabric of daily life, utterly transforming both human behavior and society. Insurance is the leading communications theme has always been the value of our life. Nothing touches life as well as the feeling of love. In the past, we focused on communicating the value of life to consumers, but today, the foundations of Thai society are being disrupted by technology. As a time ties, the communications message for this year shifted its focus towards value of love. The acceleration To spark a conversation of love for life, we reached the line, targeting a mass audience on Thailand's most popular social media sites. To make Love for Life be more than just an advertising campaign and tap into the target audience, we created the Insurance for Your Beloved Child policy that covers children from birth to adulthood. The policy was released through commercials on Thai Response TV. Personal moments of the target audience transformed special life moments into moments of love. We created 6 Facebook videos to congratulate the life and love moments of real time. Finally, to get the mass audience to realise the importance of family love and to show that love can occur anywhere, famous Thai graffiti artists were chosen to transform subway stations into stations of love for Valentine's Day. Share of hearts, share of sales, and brand love.
Apart from the big brand, right, we're trying to create the value over the love, which is a core belief of Thai life. You see, we have the different stages that insurance can fulfill people's life, right? The way we use the technology to help us do the precision marketing here is, if you can see Facebook, right, they can detect your status, no matter your marriage, you change the job, you having the new kids, let's say. These are all signals that we understand the different context of life of the customer. That we can create the communication to set the different product that fit with each life stage to our customer. So this is one campaigns that is the examples of micro personalization by understanding the context of customer. And as the world evolve, right, when we have more data, it will allow us to do the hyper personalizations when we can talk by one-on-one level. So this is the case of German rails. No need to fly. So let's see the video, the case videos, and then we talk about it. Sorry, they have no sound. Anybody want to guess what is their business objective for these campaigns? No? Okay, it's actually the promotion campaigns, right? The problem of the business is 72% of German, they actually love to travel abroad, right? And German, well, they want to encourage people to take local trips. The way to do it is they want to hijack the technology through the search. When people search about the locations, let's say, China, right? This is the landmarks of the touristic place in China. And once people search and they know that people are flying to China, the way they do it is that they partner with Getty Image to find the similar photos of the tourist attractions, which is actually in Germany. Right? So they're presenting the alternative choice to the customer. If you want to go to China, no, change your mind. Instead, you just go to Germany. So this is how they detect the signal from people. They know where people want to go, and then they create the personalized on one-on-one level. They get the image to serve the right communication to the customer. And then they have been doing like in a lot of places throughout the world, because they have a lot of stock photos from the Getty Image. Okay. Another level of hyper-personalization is that I think everybody will have the Starbucks application, right? Maybe next time you can open and then you can compare with your friend if your interface is the same, because it's not going to be the same. This is how we call the dynamic creative. A lot of companies at the moment have been doing a lot of dynamic creative. For example, we have Adobe Cloud or Salesforce. It's more on CRM data when we can collect the customer data and understand them differently as an individual. For example, I might be once I open, let's say, the EDM, I might be interested in the promotion, and the promotion will trigger me the most to click to buy on Lazada. My friends might be interested in just reading the article on the website. So the way the dynamic creative work is they will understand the data and the behavior they collect from each individual customer, so that they can differentiate the way they change the interface and serve the content differently to suit different needs and behavior of the target audience. This is actually how it looked like, right? Sections, let's say on the app interfaces, it might come with the new product first, or some might come with the promotion first, or the way they select the products to serve you. It might come from your purchase behavior, right? For example, if they know that you love iced latte, then when they have the promotion on iced latte, you will be served, right? If I like the snack more, then the promotion I got might not be iced latte, but it might be croissant. So this is how the system understands the behavior of the target customer based on their purchase data. So this is how it's personalized differently, right? We have the different promotion served, the different priorities of the communications, different products, different promotions. So the more you have data and the more you understand your customer behavior, it will allow you to have more enriched experience and more relevant that can trigger more sale to your customer. The examples that we want to show you today is actually on one-on-one communication as well. It's another Thai Life campaigns that we do for the agent recruitment.
Which significantly reduce the importance of agents. Agents. Crisis. Successful time agents have gone through despair and left with life scars. It makes them truly understand life and how to take care of others. So agents take care and impress their customers. have 20 versions of Facebook ads with contents related to aspirations and job opportunities. Agents that people who truly understanding of life caring.
Okay, the case that you just saw is how we use the search technology to hijack and find opportunity for people who want to apply to be the agent, right? But more importantly, if you see the way we're trying to understand the different contexts of each individual, right? They might looking for the passive income, they might have the life scar before, or they might not value by their employee, so that's why they want to change the job. So that is how we put the tensions or the insight of consumer into the context and serve the message that might hook them. So this is pretty much on the precision marketings that we prepare for you guys today. So in the future, this is what we believe: data, creative, and technology. So I think is a new ways of how we believe that advertising and marketing are evolving with the use of technology. And yeah, and if you have any questions. Okay, no questions. Yeah, so thank you for opportunity. So we will leave this presentation. So in case you have any more questions, then please feel free to reach us anytime. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, you will have the time to then ask questions in the upcoming panel. Let's have a quick break so we can have. Let's finish this. So we can move this area here. Quick break, 10 minutes. Then we start with the panel discussion. Care. All right. So, I think we should start rather soon, so we have enough time to talk about everything that we wanted to talk about. And now we already saw like two speakers here talking. I think we should just quickly introduce ourselves because now there are two new faces on the stage. The other face, I mean, you know already. I don't have to say much about this, but how about the others? So introduce yourself very briefly, and then we just start. I think.
Hi พี่ปุ้มนะคะ CMO L'Oreal Thailand ค่ะ
Okay, hi, I'm Christian. I'm a guest lecturer now for almost 3 years here at Thammasat. A little bit to my background, I've worked in online marketing for over 10 years. So on the agency side, I'm a strong believer in the blockchain technology. And last year I entered a PhD program at Chiang Mai University. So I can feel all the parties and the stakeholders here today. And yeah, I'm very excited to have a nice talk with you today.
All right.
Let's wait.
Yeah, do you want to like just quickly like remind them who you are and
Okay.
just so we all have it all in one.
Okay, sure. I'm Audrey. I'm from Ogilvy. Yeah, basically I'm digital planners and have been agency for almost 10 years. Yep.
And our first speaker.
Yeah, hello, I'm Top Jirayut. I'm the blockchain guy.
That's not what I LinkedIn though, the blockchain.
Yeah, I think it was a very nice two talks today already. So on the one side, we heard from Todd about organizational design and how BitCap is focusing on the employee. And we heard from Audrey on the other side how an agency is focusing nowadays on the customer in a highly digitized world. So it was also interesting for me. I said it to you before, as a German, I did not know about this campaign. So it was a very good hyper-personalization example you gave us today.
The Germans that you show that?
Yes, sadly not working for me. I flew too early to Thailand already. But maybe Todd can tell us now a little bit how BitCup is focusing on the customer, or what are you guys doing to as a digital strategy, or have you any best practice to share?
Sure. So when we do marketing, we have great companies as our role model. Right? If you look at companies like Apple, they don't go around and tell everyone that their Mac is faster than the rest of their competitors, or their laptops is faster or better. But how do you guys feel when you hold a Mac and walk around, right? People buy the product not because of the product, but because of the ideology behind the product, right? Mac, gave it a very clear picture of their brand identity, that they are the crazy ones, the ones that push the world forward, right? The one that change the world. And if you look at the people in the Silicon Valley, no one is using a window, because these are the crazy ones. They represent. They are holding a Mac because it represents who they are. They feel proud, feel cool holding a Mac, versus other laptops. Right? They don't go around and say, Mac is faster or better, cheaper. Actually, very expensive, but people buy into that ideology. So for BitCup, it's the same thing. All of our core fans, the ones that have been following the story, like the crazy ones, the one that people laughed at, the one that people despise, ignore, but ended up changing the financial industry. By the time the incumbent realized, it's going to be too late for most of the traditional financial companies. And people who really, are futuristic and are strong believers in thinking different, believing in digital currencies, they all use BitCup. It represents who they are. We got up to the point where I posted one quick photo of myself in a BitCup hoodie, and there were like an organic post, and there were 800 comments saying I want that hoodie. It's not because of the hoodie, but because of the ideology that we are the same, one of us. We are the crazy ones. We are the futuristic, the one that sees the future, the one that pushes Thailand forward. Right? So that's how we attract customers as well as employees as well. We believe that money is changing. The way we define money is changing. And we're the crazy ones. And everyone else is wrong. We're the minority that is right. The rest of the world is wrong. So that's how we market ourselves.
Okay, so thank you very much. I was not trying to be looking at the live questions here all the time that are popping just to see what's happening. One question is popping a few times, and also students before the talk was about COVID, obviously. So they say, how does an agency, of course, like a big company, how do you like marketing, reaching people in the pandemic? Because obviously money is scarce, right? So how is your approach here?
Me or Gibi?
Who wants to answer first? I think both.
Yeah, maybe you first.
Okay, I think during COVID, it has been a big challenge for us because, this is how it's never happened before, and we need to give the guideline for the brands and find the opportunity for the brand to react on the COVID. One thing we have been doing is the research called building brand during the turbulent times. A lot of people might think that COVID is the situation that brands shouldn't invest during the pandemic, right? Because you will lose attentions. But actually what we believe is if you get into the right moments of consumer and you find the right brand role during the pandemic, that is how you build the brand value toward the consumer. So yeah, I think that is one challenging that we need to really understand what's going to happen since the panics, what is the pose, and what is the opportunity of the brand when the pandemic done, or what is the opportunity in terms of the marketings during the COVID situations. Like I have, let's say, the coffee brand clients. Most of the coffee shop has been closed like during the COVID time, meaning that we need to shift the business for our clients to more of the food aggregators. So I think one thing is meaning that we need to do let's say the strategies on how we help them promoting in the e-commerce channels, or what is other opportunities. For example, we can create a lot of good brand have been doing communication during the COVID time to give people the support, right? So I think it's a matter of how we predict what is going to happen and what going to be the impact on our clients' business as well as their brands, and find the opportunities. I think that is how we're trying to adapt. And we encourage you at Ogilvy website. We have a research called Building Brand During the Turbulent Time. Yep. So you can download and read it. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot. And Poon, for you, how is L'Oreal dealing with those times where the new normal is the new black?
Okay, I prefer to answer after Ogilvy because my answer will be long. Okay, so bear with me. I want to separate my answer into two sections. The first section is regarding the digital strategy of the group. So first thing first, we started 10 years ago. It was in 2010 when our CEO announced that L'Oreal will go digital. So that was the beginning of the digital era of the company. A couple of years after that, we have the CDO at the global level appointed, and the team at the country level has been set since then. In L'Oreal Thailand, we have one person back in 2013 managing digital, and today we have more than 60-70 people. So it's a big acceleration of the group, and I need to give you this context because it's because of this. When COVID hit, we managed to turn around everything that is seems to be an obstacle at the time. But because we have all these prepared since 10 years ago, we didn't take COVID as a blocker, but we took COVID as an accelerator. So you can imagine L'Oreal has business in 4 different divisions. Is mass product, L'Oreal, Garnier, Maybelline. These brands are selling in convenience store, retail, so all of this, Tesco, Watson. That 7-Eleven was not closed during the time, right? But because of COVID hit and the middle class got hit the most, so they have less purchasing power. Of course, so this group has a bit of impact. The biggest impact that we have is the other 2 groups, that is department store, so the luxury division, Lancôme, YSL, Urban Decay, all of this luxury brand, because department store was closed. So zero business for us. The other chunk is salon, because we have L'Oreal Professional and Kerastase, 100% closed. Was the first business that was closed, right? So these 2 divisions disappear from the port. But hadn't we been prepared, if we didn't prepare everything that we have been preparing for the past 10 years, we wouldn't be able to accelerate our e-commerce business to the level where we are today. When we started e-commerce seriously since 2014 and accelerated 4 years ago, it goes step by step as is. But in the 4 months of the pandemic, we managed to capture those 4 years of sales and the weight of the business into those 4 months, and we managed to maintain. So I'm very proud to say that L'Oreal Group is the biggest group when it comes to online sales. If you go to Shopee, Lazada, we are the biggest. And we couldn't do this if we hadn't prepared. If we just started during the pandemic, it wouldn't happen. Yeah.
Okay, thanks a lot. We have a question here, and I think we come back to Todd. Todd, what do you think is the future of the digital Thai baht? And do you think it's possible for Thai people to use it commonly in the future?
Very possible, because Q4 this year, the Bank of Thailand will do an announcement. They will start a pilot program with SCG first, the digital baht. Right? And when I was studying at the university, I studied economics at school, right, at university, and my most favorite subject was the monetary of the economic history, the evolution of monetary history. I got to study, I got to understand how money evolves. It changes every 50 years. Right, 1929, the Great Depression time, gold standard. Right, 1945, the Bretton Woods system, where we use a dollar that is pegged to gold. 1971, the post-Bretton Woods system. It changes every 50 years. Right, the fiat currency that we've been using. And if you look back, 1971 to 2020, that's almost 50 years. Right, by next year, that's going to be exactly 50 years. There'll be a big change coming in the definition of money. No surprise why Libra is coming out. Digital yuan is already out, in 4 provinces in China, testing. Right, digital euro is coming out. So, for sure, I can guarantee that money is no longer paper in the future. Like, we even used shell in the past as money, right? Or Yellowstone gold as money. So it evolves every 50 years. So to answer your question, almost a certainty that we'll be using a digital baht in the future.
Thank you. Very interesting. I'm looking forward to that, to be honest. It's technology. Question that comes up all the time, also because I ask the students in class all the time, but I have just questions also for you. They said, did you ever face a problem like the marketing message just wasn't understood for like a product or a campaign, and then there was some backlash or something like this? How do you handle like basically customer feedback that's not positive?
Handling a negative comment, it happens all the time. We are all human, right? So sitting on the brand side, you need to reflect yourself as a customer as well. So we are a brand, but we don't consume only our brands, right? So put yourself in their shoe. The key point for us is really to listen and take the action based on those comments. So if the comments is related to service, then we tackle the service issue. If it's related to e-commerce delivery, it's that. If it's the product, we take it as a key point for future development. So I think all the comments, we don't take negative. Yes, we do have the negative sentiment, positive sentiment when it comes to social listening, but it's just a score. The key point is not to look at those numbers, but take the number into actions. Yeah.
This is a very good answer, and the strategy, how it should be, how to deal with negative feedback. We had earlier as an example of the German rail. So Sasha and me, we're both Germans, and there's a kind of running gag in Germany that the German rail is always late. And in the beginning, when Facebook went big and every big company needed to have a Facebook page, the German rail Facebook page was always closed for comments. So they wanted to avoid this negative feedback by not opening this channel. And I think what told us now, it's the way to go, how to deal with negative feedback too.
Okay, I just want to share in the point of view of the agencies on how we assist the marketer, right? Digital is a big challenge, especially in Thailand. There are a lot of forums that, the bad sentiments can go very viral really quickly. I think as an agency, we also offer a lot of services to help clients monitoring the brands. We have a lot of technology, for example, the social listening, to help keep monitoring. And once we know that there is the negative feedback, then we have what called the crisis management. It's very important for the brand to really be transparent with the customer. So I think it's one of the point back then, right? A lot of marketers they will close the comments just to avoid the negative comments. But I think in this era, it should be more transparent to the consumer. Yeah.
Okay, Audrey, since you have the microphone,
Thank you.
We have a question from the audience. How is the agency life going on in a pandemic? How do you manage this?
Okay, in terms of working.
Yeah, how do you work together in quarantine? How do you handle it?
Okay, first thing, agency is a really good work. That is a really good question, right? But I think we need to adapt accordingly. We still work as a group, but I think it's the fortune of technologies that help us. We have Zoom, and actually we are the official partner of Zoom, so we still work digitally with each other. It's just the change in in a pattern of working. Just there'll be a lot of work like meetings that go back to back when you're not in the office. So I think but the technology still allow us to work together. Yeah.
And how does COVID-19 affect the cosmetic industry in general?
In general, it affects pretty much. If you imagine the 2-3 months that you stay home, you have no reason to wear makeup, right? You have no reason, and you get used to. One day when you need to go out, you realize, oh, I have to wear mask half of my body. So what do? We focus our eye makeup instead of the lip makeup, and the eye makeups go up. You focus on the product that is more long lasting and protecting you from causing acne. You push the part on a cleanser product that would help cleansing all this dust and everything. So we switch the strategy a little bit from long term to short term. We don't lose our focus. We still focus on beauty, but we need to accommodate the different change of the need of consumer.
Thanks a lot.
Last question we just got here from top. The students who listen to this, okay, interesting. What you mentioned about the Flash Express. But the student asked, what is a unicorn? If you can just quickly explain that.
Sure. Unicorn is a buzzword in a startup for a company that has a valuation of beyond $1 billion market cap, right? Or 30 billion baht, right? So that's a unicorn. Since that's a short answer, let me answer the previous 2 questions for BitCup. For the first question, the negative feedback. I see negative feedback as a good thing actually, because customers still want to use your product. If customers are not complaining, they're not going to be bothered, right, with their time. They're not going to be using your product again. Right? Why would they even bother complaining? Right? So I think we should, take in those feedback and make sure that we can improve our product and services. And the goal of the company is to surprise customers, to make sure that customers are beyond happy. And once customers are beyond happy, sometimes there are competitors even like faking to become a customer, trying to destroy our brand. Once you have so many customers, happy, surprise them to be beyond happy, they protect you. Counter back those negative feedback and say those are not true. What are you guys on about? Without us having to actually go and reply, because we have so many fans that loved our product. And what we did extra was that we did a quarterly live event, like online live discussion talk with our customers. Our market thesis is different. I think in the future, everyone will get to the same access to the same data set. But the key difference is communication. How do we constantly communicate with customers to make sure that they are being listened, right? They are cared for, and to maintain this trust and reputation. How do you maintain trust and reputation? You promise something and then you deliver, right? You make sure that you take in the feedback and you improve your product and then you deliver. So you make sure that you're not breaching the trust and reputation of the company. And the reason why we are making sure that customers are beyond happy is because we strongly believe that the strongest marketing is the what we call the word of mouth marketing. That's the strongest form of marketing, right? Once you surprise customers, they will tell everyone around them. And those words words are very strong because they there's someone who they trust. They would listen to try out this brand. Right, so our job is to surprise customers, and they will go out and tell everyone around them. And in the previous generation, they might tell like 5 people on the road, on the street, but in this generation, they will tell 5,000 people online. Right, if you surprise them.
Actually, I'm very happy that you said that because actually it's very classy. We talked about surprises and how important surprises are for user psychology and to get engaged. So I hope you listen to this that lecture because it was a perfect example of that. I also talked about students before they went today as a question. I think it is targeted to all 3 viewers. It's twofold. One is data is very important. So we talk about data-driven marketing and so on. They're all aware of this because we talked about it. The question is how to get as much data as possible. Can we make sure you utilize it in the right way? And B, can this gathering of data lead to an increased form of competition? Because we all want the data, so I hope you don't get the same data and so on. So what's your point of view in this regard?
For sure, data is very important in the context of today. But to answer your question, I would rather say that it's not who get the most data win. It's not at all. It's not the case. Who manage well the data and understand the journey wins. Because you can have all the data in the world, if you don't classify it as segmented and use it properly, it became junk. So it's meaningless. It's nothing. It doesn't mean anything. You can have all the data in the world. I can tell you because I have different kinds of business, and I shared with you before. I have luxury, I have and I have the business of medical, right? So 4 different divisions, 4 different consumer. Do you think data is necessary for all? Yes, but different type of data. In mass consumer, it's not the first party data that we are talking about. It's all about understanding how to use the platform like Facebook, Google, and understand how to serve them the personalization message based on what platform can give, because it's mass audience. It's impossible that I reach 16 million consumer in Thailand with the personalization, hyper personalization one-on-one. It's impossible. But to the level of luxury consumer where lifetime value is very high because my cream is 10,000 baht per jar, it's worth it. It's worth to have the one-on-one personalization. And the one-on-one personalization might not be in the form of digital alone. We have the first-party data of all these consumers in the luxury segment. During the pandemic, I have the beauty advisor who lost their incentive, right? Because they still have the salary, but they don't have incentive anymore. What do? We turn them from BA to BEBA. We give them tools, they have the set of data, we make sure that we got consent from the consumer, we make a conversation. And this personalized relationship between the beauty advisor and the consumer, it works. So some of the consumer, they kind of addicted to this one-on-one conversation and decided not to go back to store because it's easier for the person. So I have the company line, and I have this agent that speak to me via line, personalization message. So I prefer every time when I reach out to this brand, I ask for this person, and then it becomes something that is kind of a new business model for us, and we continue doing it. So again, data is important, but not the most important. The way and how to use data is the most important.
Okay, I think Kun Pum really give a very good, very constructive on how the data can be differently used across different level. So I will talk in terms of the sort of data and the challenge of having the data at, to every day. Based on the sort of data, when you say acquiring first-party data, it's going to take really long time, right? But actually, right now, there are multiple companies that actually sell the media that we can utilize their current database. For example, VGI, right? They have like the rabbit cards, and they also have many other business like BTS, and also the finance, the insurance. So they have a lot pools of data. So the way they do it is they actually a media agency which can give you a more insightful in terms of data targetings, meaning that when you use the platform data, it will reach to mass, right? But what we know and know better is in terms of the behavior of people who actually hold, let's say, the rabbit cards. So we can, let's say, target people who frequently travel to, let's say, Siam Paragon to buy a luxury products. So I think that is a quick wins on how we don't have to acquire first-party data, but have a partner to understand it, like the one card, let's say. The second question, I think, is a very controversial in Thailand at the moment regarding the data is PDPA. So I think it's one thing that as marketers, we need to really understand like the laws and how we acquire data and, you know, in terms of legal process that not intimidating the privacy of people, and consumer. Yeah, so I think, the source and the law.
Can I add on this question too? Everyone is the same. If you assume that everyone get access to the same set of data, the result would be very similar. But the things that move the needle, right? You have to be the minority that is right, while the majority is wrong, right? So most of the successful people who are way above, average, are the very small group of people that are very right, when the rest of the world are very wrong. So I think what's more important is to use the data for prediction. What's going to be the next transformational shift? The breakthroughs, the one that will change the consumption behaviors. Those are more important, right? So if you say we got access to the same set of data, customers are going to say, faster horses, please. How do you make the horse go faster? Are we going to use that data and build train a horse, a faster horse? Obviously, we want to build a car, right? We somehow need to utilize those data to come up with the new market thesis. That will be the next transformational shift. And we have to be the very, very small group of people that got, right to the very right, important truth, while the rest of the people is wrong. I think that's what differentiates a great company to a good company.
That's also great. I think I like the example of the horse very much. I think I should borrow this. I give credit to you in the next class, but I like that example very much. Just looking for another question. And the question is very straightforward. I like it very much. Is how do you guys update about trends? How do you stay ahead of the curve? Because like I said, we need to stay ahead. We don't do what everybody else is doing. So how do you manage to do this? It's not super time consuming. How do you know what's the next big thing?
I think for you, Tom, it's a big topic. I'm excited for your answer. You gave a very nice example in your speech today about that it's not enough. No? So enough is a bad word, or not the right word maybe. There was a very famous German sports climber. His name is Wolfgang Gülich, and he really pushed the limits of sport climbing way ahead. And he was in the late 70s active, and he pushed the difficulty like 2 grades above it was present at the moment. So he was doing supernatural things in the eyes of many people. And he had the statement, enough power is a state that's not existing. So it reminded me when you talked about this in your talk. So, and how do you update yourself, and how do you get beyond your limit or your limitations?
Sure. So I would say everyone has different life experiences. And what Steve Jobs said, you cannot explain where you are right now unless you connect the dots backwards. Those unique life experiences form who you are and form your market thesis. Right? If you've been listening to my story in the last 7 years, before I founded 2 cryptocurrency companies, I encountered many experiences that most people did not face. Right? I read a blog, from Mark Anders, and I got to see the other side of Bitcoin when the rest of the world thought it was a Ponzi scheme. I met with Dan Chad, the executive of PayPal, to solve the original vision of PayPal. Those things you can only explain your I would say not belief, conviction, strong conviction. When you form conviction about something, it's all about connect the dots backwards that form who you are and what you believe and your values, right? And going forward, you can do it based on combination of connect the dots backwards to form your market thesis and also to understand the values of customers that are changing. Right? This transformational shift. For example, do you know the biggest group of customers in the future are not going to be Gen Y or Gen X, but are going to be millennials, the one that are born with the iPad already, right? Digital users. Do you really understand their values versus our values? For example, in my generation, I'm Gen Y, right? When our first job, when we got a job, what's the first thing that we buy? Either a car or a house. Those are the things that we value. But if you look at millennials, the new generation, once they got their first job, what do they really buy? Do they really go out and buy a car? Or do they really go out and buy a house? They don't value those things, right? They go and buy experience. They value experience, not things. These are the changing values in different generation gap that we need to really understand. And if the founder of Uber go around and said, "Yeah, I'm going to be sharing houses with people," crazy market thesis, right? Very crazy. Who would share houses with strangers? Uber. I'm going to share a car with strangers. Are you crazy? Right? People would say crazy based on their own beliefs, right? Different generation. Gen Y, Gen X would say you're crazy. But if you work backwards from customers, right, they value things differently. They would rather not own a piece of land, but to enjoy the experience, not being the owner, but being the user of that land. That's why Airbnb is growing, right? The new definition of ownership is the ability to use, not the holder of the deeds. These things are changing, so the most important thing, is also to understand the new segment of customers. What are their values? And then working backwards also helps. Connects with your unique life experiences that form who you are.
Thank you. Just as a follow-up question also for you guys. To keep chasing the trends, so to speak, okay, this is taking off, we have to be there, or do we try to be ahead of the curve and try to understand what our target audience is going to do next? So I'm one step ahead of the rest until they catch up. So what's your take on this?
I think the trends doesn't matter, and I could be wrong saying this because our ambition is to be #1 beauty tech company of the world, and we are. But I don't believe in chasing trends. I really believe in following the consumer voice. So if you really listen and keep your eyes and ears open on what consumer is saying and what they are wanting, then you would understand what would be best to serve the consumer, regardless of the trends. So my key point is really to keep eyes and ears open, and I take the benefit of in a big group. We have the business everywhere all around the world, so I get the learning from others as well. In the digital community of L'Oreal, we have a so-called Fuck Up Night. It's a session that in the past it was all about best practices. All the countries share best practices, what you did good, it's all about winning the trophy from the boss. But it's no longer the case. We embrace the mistake, and those mistakes could happen because you didn't listen to consumer. You just followed what's happening. The latest launch of the advertisement from some company. We just follow the pattern, not listen to what our consumer really wants. So I don't know if I answer your question, but it's not always about the trends, but it will always be about consumers. Yeah.
Totally agree. I think we need to really understand the consumer at the center of everything, right? I think it's shared the same belief at Ogilvy. We really believe in understanding the consumer. We have what called the knowledge center, which we have the R&D who study on the like many dimensions of consumer, like how they evolve, what is the pattern of buying. So I think one thing that how we need to understand the theory. And for the trend, I think as an agency, sometimes the communication, we still have to follow, like catch up on the trends to make the communication more engaging to what people are currently talking. So I think, yeah, we have the good researching in the company, but at the same time, I think we need to really stay up and really have to, see what people are really talking about to do like the pulse communication. Yeah.
Points on chasing the trend. My previous answer wasn't about chasing the trend, but understanding the values, the change in customers' values, right? And once you understand that, you have to be the trendsetter, not the followers, because they're the crazy ones. Everybody who share houses with strangers, right? They have no competition. They're the trendsetter. Once they understand the values of the customers, right? This is against the philosophy of great entrepreneurs. They do the same things as the rest of the entrepreneurs, good entrepreneurs, right? They're the great entrepreneurs. What does that mean? It means if you could create a company and you show ideas to all your friends, and everyone said, "Yes, this is a great idea, come do it." My suggestion is do not do that business, because everyone thinks in the same manner. You can be so China running at the agency companies, sharing the market share with the rest of the world. You have to be the minority that is right. The majority is wrong. We need to make a huge impact. You cannot follow the trend. You need to build the trend. Be the trendsetter, not the followers. Once you understand the values of the customers, right?
So, answers, in my opinion, I really like what you said about making mistakes. I think it's very important to create really a mistake culture. And this is what I really, from all my experience, it's sometimes so hard not to make a mistake and to really embrace a mistake. That's what I see a lot of times also here with students in Thailand, that we're too shy to do something because out of fear. But I think it's very important to create a culture where we can learn from mistakes and do the best out of it. Todd, Bitcoin has an issue of misunderstanding, so there were some fraud cases related to cryptocurrency in Thailand and all around the world, and how do you deal with it?
All the time. It's been, I don't know, thousands of stages in the last 4 or 5 years. People usually see me on almost every stages in Thailand in the past 4 or 5 years, trying to educate the public on, the blockchain technology, on cryptocurrencies. A lot of, misunderstanding. I got a letter from the anti-money laundering officers. Got a letter from the Bank of Thailand, from the Revenue Department, in the past, believing that Bitcoin was a Ponzi scheme, dark money laundering, toy money, right? Do not go anywhere near them. But we're the one that created the industry, right? Educating the people. Eventually, education catches up. Right? There's a foundation, fundamental truth that no one can escape. Once everyone reaches the same understanding, the same set of data, the action will be very similar. The question is to make sure that everyone first of all gets to the same data point, then the action will be similar. The reason why people make different decisions is because they have different set of data. We have to make sure that they get to the right set of data. Then don't worry about the decision. Everyone has enough logic to make sensible decision. Right?
I like that very much. Like, just also trust the people that they will make the right decisions when they see what you have to offer, which is awesome. I get the sign that like time is passing or flying very fast, but there's one question that of course has been asked like several times, and I'm just want to ask this to all of you guys. What's in the future? Digital strategies of tomorrow. So what's the digital development focusing on Thailand? Like, what do you see the digital landscape change, like shift, like here in Thailand?
Okay, I think data-driven is no longer a big word. Right? It used to be a buzzword, but I think when we understand deeper on the consumer itself, on how we can create what meaningful for them and how we can make both brands and product really relevant to them is a key to drive growth to the business and the brands. Apart from it, I think is the big evolvements on in the future. We don't have to do just a campaign based or the communication by burst, but data signaling will allow us to do like all the time marketing, right? So if we can do like the always on marketing for the brands, yeah, and I think that is how marketing automation will take you to another level of digital in the next, I mean, maybe in the next few years, yeah, once everything is ready.
I have two sides of the answer on this one. So one side is definitely data. And on this one, I'm fully aligned with you, but I have the concern on the data talent in the country. I can tell you, it's super difficult to find. It's very difficult because our country grows very fast in this element. Thailand is a very super social, super digital country. We are the number one country that has the biggest chunk of social commerce when it comes to e-com transaction via one-on-one personalization. Or the transaction, you transfer the money for someone you don't know via line just to buy clothes or buy earrings, and you tend to trust the person even before you receive the stuff. You don't trust the platform like Lazada, Shopee, but you trust the person more than the platform. So this chunk of the business is even bigger than Lazada and Shopee. So it's fascinating. But there's no one at the back end who really understand how this data ecosystem work. The small social commerce entrepreneur is everywhere, but there's no proper consolidator or person who really know the data. So I agree with you on data, but I'm more worried on the data talent that we have in the country.
Do you also have problems to find data scientists?
Yes, and so many other positions too, like blockchain engineers.
What positions are
there's a huge demand in new skills in the internet century, like blockchain engineers, growth hackers, data scientists. These things are not taught in universities. Right? And in the last 10 years, I founded 2 blockchain companies. Where do I get the education from? 10 years ago, right? Blockchain technology. Right? We're in the most exciting era where if you need to know anything, the internet tells you everything. But the majority of the workforce in Thailand are still trained by traditional institutions, and they have this big challenge of training the right candidates for companies. There's this huge gap right now of unemployment of new graduates, and also a huge gap of companies wanting the right group of employees. For example, my company, we're hiring another 50 positions this year. We cannot find the right candidates yet. Unemployment is all-time high. And there's this huge, 200, we're adding 50 more, but we cannot find like growth hackers, blockchain engineers. Where do they come from? Like, none of the universities teach these courses, like fintech, none teaches fintech. So I think there's this big wealth transformation that is about to be happening soon in our billion in wealth for the first time in history. One person. Apple, $2 trillion company, right? Bitcoin, 600% growth this year, despite COVID. Right? Adding 120 employees this year. Right? We're the new economy. The ones that are building scalable services and products that are relevant to the internet century. But the rest of the economy in Thailand are old economies. Right? If you look at the companies in the stock exchange, 50 years old, 70 years old, 100 years old. And, Thai investors, they don't value these companies anymore. If you look at the P ratio, P of 10, 15, and if you look at NASDAQ, Facebook, when, they went public at a PE of 30, traditional investors would say, wow, this is too pricey, too expensive, like $30 per share. Look at Facebook now, right? Almost $300 per share, 10 bagger in the last 10 years, 10 times, right? Still at a P of 30. They're the fast-paced, fast-growth industry. I think the biggest economy in the future is going to be the internet nation. Right? So the people say China, has the biggest population, 1.4 billion, but to be honest, 2020 this year, almost 5 billion people get access to the internet. That's by far the biggest nation. And when you think of something, when you need to use something of this particular service or goods that you need to buy, what's your first contact point? Do you go around, drive around, look at storefronts like in the previous generation, or you just move your finger? Right? You search on Google, Line, on your friends, search Facebook fan page. Do you put yourself in these first layer of contact points or the second layer or the third layer? Right? So I think in the future for Thailand, there will be a big shortage, scarcity of the right labor. Right? Even not just the new graduates. People are already working in the field. We need to reskill and upskill to make sure that they're relevant in the marketplace. The technology is moving at a much faster rate. The changes are happening at a much rapid rate. So we need to keep up. But for those that could keep up, there's this digital divide where there's this convergence happening. Right? Apple has 200 billion of cash piles in one company, bigger than Samsung, Xiaomi, Huawei combined. Amazon, one company, is bigger than the rest of the e-commerce in America combined. There's this winner takes all, right, happening in our world. And I think this is going to be both an opportunity for those who can adapt, but also a challenge for those who are lagging or falling behind in the future.
And since we have to wrap up rather soon now, that leads to another follow-up question that I think makes sense for everyone in attendance. Like, since you said what we can expect, right, with how the shift is happening, what can the students do to future-proof themselves, to be one of the people that you actually want? Like, what's your basically final tip to the students to be ready for what lies ahead?
About your companies and what you guys are doing, so for the students, and the students should listen now very carefully.
Take notes.
You want to go first?
Sure. I'll start first. I would divide the students here into two groups. The luckier ones and the less luckier ones. Right? For the first group, do you have the luxury to risk? If your parents don't need money from you, you're the luckier ones. You have the luxury to fail. You have the freedom to fail. Then else, working for someone else's. If you have the luxury to fail, right? Which most people don't really have. Because maybe you need to look after the family, the parents, but if you're the lucky ones, don't waste that opportunity. Maybe people are jealous of you. Go out and start a company, right? We pay for education, why don't we pay for mistakes to grow as a person? Right? Go and start a company, you will learn so much. For the second group, right? Don't go to the old economy. I love people who know how to do the old things. We're responsible to push the world forward, right? To move the needle. So go to the economy. Go join Big Cup, for example. Right? The Christians, the ones that try to improve, the things. Go join cryptocurrency company. Go join blockchain company. AI, big data, P2P lending. Don't go join the economy. Investment banking, bankers. You're going to face a lot of competition with the old skill sets, with traditional institution training the same set of people every year. And those are people who need to reskill and upskill themselves again, anyways. Right? We're responsible for, improving the world. So go join the new economy and don't go to big companies. You're just going to be one small person doing the same task every single day. Go join a small company and make sure that you do a lot of things. It's better to see the big picture than to see the smaller picture. And your first boss is very important. Don't optimize for paychecks, optimize for skill sets. Right? Choose your boss carefully because that's he or she is going to form how you work, how you think. That's very important. Don't choose companies. Choose your model who you'll be working closely with. If you have the average of 5 people, make sure you choose those 5 people carefully. That's the weighted average of you. Right? Don't optimize for paychecks. Don't make the same mistake as the rest of the economy. You have to be great players. You don't want to be good players. Optimize for skill sets. Right? But for those who have the luxury, I'll give you another reason why you should go out and start a company now. I was so lucky to meet one person called Blue Guy. He was an entrepreneur, a Silicon Valley entrepreneur. I met him in the Philippines before I started my company. He sold his company Cartmount to LinkedIn, right? And he flew to the Philippines to start a startup. I was helping with a small project called Star Report. And before my actual job would start in the San Francisco. And I had this 1 month gap in the Philippines helping Bowie. During dinner talk, he said, Tom, you graduated from Oxford University. You can walk into any of the companies and they would gladly welcome you. Your parents, you came from a quite okay family. Your parents did not need from you. You're 23 years old. You can work 7 days per week. You have a family, no kids. Starting a company is insane. It's time to go for someone else. If you're 40 years old, you cannot do the same thing now. If you're 40 years old, you have a family to look after. You have your children to look after. Your parents are going to give you more support. Right? And if you fail, it's hard to go back and get the same a job. But if you start your company now, you can work 24/7. You're 40 years old. You can work your ass off. Right? You have a family to look after. You have kids to look after. Your parents are here to give you moral support. And if you fail, go to the other companies. They would gladly welcome you with your Oxford degree. It's not vice versa if you're 40 years old. That talk completely changed my mind. So after that, the job lasted a few weeks. And I started a company. So I would give this advice to all of you here today. If you're the lucky one, go start a company. Anything. 5 years, 10 years. But if you're not the lucky ones, choose your boss carefully. Choose your industry carefully. You're the average of 5 people around you. Don't optimize for paycheck. Optimize for skill sets and opportunity, right?
Okay, I might have a different opinion. And I would take myself also as an example. So my parents, they are entrepreneur. We have our own business. It went very well, and at some point, the business is no longer relevant. It's a book distributor. So eventually, the business is no longer relevant, right? We make a lot of money in the past, and at one point, we couldn't adapt in time. So I see that in front of my eyes. And it was right before I made my choice on my career. So I think my journey is very different. And my heart told me that I was not looking at starting something on my own. It's a full responsibility, as you say, 7 days, 24 hours. You are on it. Everything is on you. It's true, you learn a lot, and there's nothing to compare in the experience that you got. The ownership that you have and the passion that you give to the business, it's everything, right? But when it's affecting the whole company, the whole family overall, it's a lot to take and it's a lot to lose also. So I come from that background. So when I made my decision on my career path, I told myself I won't do my own company. I might do in the end, eventually I might start something by myself, but my heart told me at the time that I would be looking for somewhere that I could give my passion to. I would be looking for somewhere that would allow me to be flexible within the frame that they give. I would give my passion to somewhere that I can learn and somewhere that can be loyal to me and I can be loyal to the company. I changed my job 4 times. Today, I'm here with L'Oreal for 13 years, and I enjoy it every minute. So I don't believe that I learn less than any other people, and I still believe on the choice I made. So my recommendation to you, it's really to listen to your heart. It's really depending on your value. So my value could be different from Kun Top, but I'm very happy at the choice that I made that day.
Okay. What I believe is not everybody born genius, yeah. But the talent can be growing over time, right? I believe that we can access to a lot of learning, which eventually that's how it's groom us. But I think more importantly is when you apply for one thing or your job, you need to show your passions. For example, I might be a person who grew up in agency. Passion is a drive for you to really do a good work. It's something that will wake you up every morning and just go to work because it's fun, right? I think passion is something that's really important to keep us going in this business. And secondly, choose the job that make you happy. I think a lot of people will be in the midlife crisis on, maybe the job is not right for you. I might be one person that's lucky enough to find a job that I like, and I wish you guys will, experience the same. So once you find a job you like, I think it will just call out your passions and wake you up every morning to come to work.
Awesome. Thank you. That's awesome. We have 3 different viewpoints here because it just shows life isn't always the same. I think both of us agree with this because we also started companies, we work in agencies, and now we're in education, for example. So passion is what we all agree on. So I think that's important. So I hope you took this away from this talk. I think we have to end here with the official panel discussion because time is running out. We might have a few minutes just if you want to say hello or something, if you're okay with it for a few, 5-10 more minutes. Don't be shy. Come here, ask some questions, introduce yourselves. Other than that, thank you much for coming. I actually tried to end on a nice note, of course, but this time I could have talked for hours because this is very interesting, so many different viewpoints. I think that's really awesome. So thank you much for coming. I hope you enjoyed it as well. Round of applause for our panelists, please. Thank you much. It was amazing. And 10 minutes of networking and saying hello if you want to. Thank you very much.